Have you ever sent out your resume and gotten just crickets from one type of company, but a great response from another? You're definitely not alone. It's a really common thing, especially for professionals over 40. Your exact same career story can land you a dream interview at a big corporation, but get totally ignored by a startup. So today, we're going to break down exactly why that happens and, more importantly, give you a playbook to win offers from both. Let's crack this code. Okay, so let's picture this. A hiring manager at some huge, well-known company is looking at your resume. They see you've managed big teams, handled serious budgets, and they're thinking, yes, perfect, this person gets it. They understand how we work, they get scale. This is exactly the reaction you want from the corporate world. It's a check in all the right boxes for them. Now take that exact same resume and put it in front of a startup founder. All that impressive structure and scale that the corporate manager just loved. To the founder, it's a huge red flag. They see bureaucracy, they see someone who's probably slow to make decisions. They're thinking, this person needs a huge team and a ton of resources to get anything done. And just like that, your resume hits the virtual trash can. So what is going on here? I mean, how can the same fantastic career be seen in two totally opposite ways? Well, here's the secret. Startups and corporations speak completely different languages. They value different things. And your resume, it has to be fluent in the language of the audience you're talking to. Think of it this way. You wouldn't speak Spanish to someone who only understands French, right? It's the same idea. And this isn't just some small communication mix-up. It's a real systemic issue that creates two very specific traps for experienced pros. And, these traps get even trickier to navigate once you're over 40. Understanding them is absolutely the first step to avoiding them altogether. What's so wild about this is how your strengths get twisted into weaknesses. If you're coming from a big company, startups look at your resume and think, well, did you do that or did the giant corporate machine do it for you? But then if you come from a scrappy startup, the big companies get nervous. They're wondering, can this person handle our processes or are they just going to cause chaos? It's a classic catch-22, right? You're either a cog in a machine or a bull in a china shop. And here's the thing that really kicks it up a notch. For anyone over 40, this whole cultural divide gets amplified by unconscious and sometimes conscious age bias. The corporate hiring manager might quietly worry if you can keep up with new tech. Meanwhile, the startup founder might just assume you're too set in your ways. So your resume is either feeding into those stereotypes or actively fighting them. And this number right here just says it all. The median age of a startup founder is 31. 31! So there's often a pretty big generational gap. They've just grown up in a different working world. And your resume has got to be the thing that bridges that gap in experience and perspective. All right, so how do we fix this? Let's get practical. We're going to start with the first playbook, the corporate one. When you are applying to a Fortune 500 company or really any big established business, your resume has to scream their language. And that language is all about governance, scale, and structure. These 5 things are basically the keys to the corporate kingdom. So governed achievement means you got big results while playing by the rules. Cross-functional influence, that's huge. It shows you know how to work with legal, finance, marketing, everyone to get a project over the finish line. Then you've got scale and scope metrics. How big was it? Millions of dollars? Thousands of users? Global reach? They love that stuff. Risk management and compliance shows you get that they have a brand to protect. And finally, methodology and process rigor, that just tells them you respect their established way of doing things, which is crucial for quality at their size. Okay, look at this example. This is a perfect piece of governed achievement. It doesn't just say, I saved the company $14 million. No, it shows how. It happened through an official process with executive steering committee review, and it maintained full SOX compliance. Those phrases are music to a corporate recruiter's ears. It basically says, I can deliver massive results inside your complex system. Now, let's totally flip the script. If you're going after a startup, you need to throw out that corporate rulebook. Seriously, we're talking about a whole different language now, one that's all about speed, taking personal ownership, and that magical ability to build something from absolutely nothing. This is what startup founders are desperate to find. 0 to 1 building means you can start with a blank whiteboard and create a product, a team, a whole department. Personal execution. This means you're a player coach. You don't just delegate, you roll up your sleeves and do the work. Speed and adaptability is table stakes. You have to love chaos. Resource-constrained wins shows you can make magic happen with a tiny budget and a skeleton crew. And ownership mentality, that's the holy grail. It means you act like you own the place. Now this right here, this is a direct counterattack to that too corporate stereotype we talked about. The key word is personally. It screams, I didn't just manage a team that did this, I was in the trenches closing those first critical deals. You were also building the playbook and hiring the team at the same time. That's a player coach, and that is exactly what a startup needs. So, it's pretty clear you can't just use one resume for both worlds. The answer is a dual resume strategy. And look, this isn't about making stuff up or creating two different careers. It's about telling your one true, amazing career story in two very different, very powerful ways. And the best part is, this is way easier than it sounds. Think of it like the 80-20 rule. About 80% of your resume, your job history, the titles, the dates, that stuff stays the same. That's your foundation. The magic, the part that actually gets you the interview, happens in that other 20%. That's where you tailor the metrics you choose, the language you use, and how you frame your wins for that specific audience. So how do you actually manage this without going crazy? Simple. You use a tagging system. You'll create one master resume document, your single source of truth. And for every single accomplishment you've listed, you just add a little tag. Is it a great example of navigating a big company? Tag it corporate. Does it show you building something from scratch? Tag it startup. This little trick makes creating a tailored version for an application super fast and easy. And here's a super simple 4-day plan to get this done. On day 1, you just audit your master resume and tag everything. Day 2, you build out your corporate version, pulling in all those corporate tags. Day 3, you do the same for the startup version. And then on day 4, you just put them side by side, do a quick consistency check, and polish them up. It's a focused, totally doable plan. Of course, none of this incredible tailoring matters if a robot just throws your resume out before a person ever sees it, right? We're talking about the applicant tracking systems, the ATS. So whether you're aiming for the boardroom or a beanbag chair, you've got to pass their scan. A tool like PassTheScan can actually help you check your resume against the systems that both big corporations and startups use, making sure your message actually gets through. Look, at the end of the day, your career story is powerful. It's unique. The question isn't, is my experience good enough anymore? The real question is, am I telling the right version of my story to the right audience? When you take control of that narrative, you can unlock incredible opportunities on both sides of this divide.